Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
What's the matter? Zhou Zhou asked directly. Your Majesty, I have important information to report. Actually, when the Shadow Clan gathered the people of foreign races allies and prepared to deal with His Majesty together, the upper echelons of the Blood Moon Clan's true god tier were doing the same thing almost at the same time. Currently, they should have already gathered trillions of troops and at least 30 true god tiers. Furthermore, they have already finished gathering. If it was in the past, with such troops and the number of true god tier, they would have attacked immediately. The reason why they didn't attack and even sent me to the Shadow Clan to deal with His Majesty together is mainly because the upper echelons of the Blood Moon Clan are very afraid of His Majesty. They even feel that with such troops and true god tier, they don't have a treasure that is 100% certain of winning against His Majesty. That's why they want to use the Shadow Clan to see His Majesty's power. Now that His Majesty's power has been revealed, the Blood Moon Clan will definitely be even more careful when they see the Shadow Clan being defeated so tragically. They will only lead all the soldiers, heroes, god spirits, and even all the trump cards of the Blood Moon Clan to attack His Majesty's territory after they are prepared to definitely win. Your Majesty, you should be prepared. True god tier, Xian Mei said worriedly. I understand. Zhou Zhou smiled faintly. He was really facing many enemies. Uriel sighed. The remnants of the people of foreign race alliance gathered by the Shadow Clan and the Blood Moon Clan side that had appeared. Not to mention the countless lords and people of foreign races who were secretly spying on him. They were like ferocious beasts waiting for an opportunity to attack. Once they revealed any weakness, these fellows would probably pounce on he, without hesitation, and bite he to death. But so what? He was no longer as timid as from before now that his wings had grown in the high continent. Come on. What's there to be afraid of? Zhou Zhou was calm and fearless. When true god tier Xian Mei saw that Her Majesty was still indifferent after she said it, the worry in her heart magically gradually dissipated and she inexplicably calmed down. If Your Majesty wants to have a life and death battle with the Blood Moon Clan one day, I will definitely die for Your Majesty. True god tier, Xian Mei said firmly. No. Zhou Zhou shook his head when he heard that. If the Blood Moon Clan attacks, you can choose to avoid the battle. I won't blame you. But, Your Majesty, I'm a member of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. How can I avoid the battle in the face of a great war? True god tier, Xian Mei was stunned. She didn't expect His Majesty to forbid her from fighting. Although this would make her feel much more relaxed, it would go against the path of a minister. He immediately said, a mere Blood Moon Clan doesn't pose much of a threat to me. To be honest, whether you go to the battlefield or not doesn't affect my battle situation much. If you go, you might even leave a knot in your heart. In the future, it might become a stumbling block to prevent you from becoming a higher-level god spirit. Furthermore, I already know about your loyalty. You don't need to prove your sincerity in this way. You'd better not go to the battlefield tomorrow. If you want to go to the battlefield, there will be many opportunities in the future. There's no need to be entangled in this battle. Zhou Zhou shook his head. True god tier, Xian Mei fell silent. Spots of starlight fell from the starry sky outside the palace and landed on the other party's body, making the already beautiful god spirit look almost unreal. You can go down first and think about it. Zhou Zhou said. Yes, Your Majesty. True god tier, Xian Mei nodded and left. When he walked out of Blazing Sun Palace, he turned to look at the towering and majestic palace in front of him. He recalled everything he had experienced in his life. Finally, the look in his eyes gradually became firm. Following that, he resolutely walked in the direction he had come from. In the Blazing Sun Palace, Zhou Zhou didn't think too much about true god tier Xian Mei. He left the Blazing Sun Palace and walked to the Reincarnation Sacred Palace in the Divine Kingdom. He entered the time world and transformed into an ordinary elemental life form. He began to comprehend his Lord's laws. And just as he was comprehending the Lord's laws, the outside world became chaotic. The Blood Moon Clan. Blood Moon Wilderness. This was the territory of the Blood Moon Clan. A blood moon hung high in the pitch-black night sky, Other than this blood moon and the surrounding 2,000 stars, there were no other stars in this black starry sky. A large number of blood moon clansmen knelt on the ground and raised their heads to look at the blood moon. The blood-colored moonlight shone on their bodies, and their expressions were filled with piety. The 12 true god-tiers of the blood moon clan gathered here on the blood moon. The leading true god-tier of the blood moon clan had blood red fur all over his body, and his eyes were also blood red. The blood moon on his forehead had also turned black red. He dropped his head and his divine body trembled faintly. From time to time, he would let out a low growl. The blood moon clan true god tier present looked at this true god tier and could not help but reveal a hint of fear in their eyes. At this moment, another blood moon clan true god tier beside the blood moon clan true god stated calmly, "You've all seen Uriel's invitation. What do you have in mind? What else do you have in mind?" A true god tier advanced grade blood moon clan said coldly, "Of course it's a rejection. There's an indelible hatred between the titans behind Uriel and the blood moon clan. Back then, if the master god tier of the titans hadn't killed our blood moon clan's patriarch, our blood moon clan would still be a top-notch bloodline clan with a master god tier overseeing it. Anyone from the outside world who saw us would have to address us respectfully as members of the blood moon clan. But everything changed after the titans killed our ancestor. The blood moon god clan has already become the blood moon clan. The old ancestor has become the dead moon beneath our feet. Such an unprecedented grudge has already enveloped our blood moon clan for hundreds of thousands of years. How can we forget it? You want an alliance? Dream on." Jackie, another blood moon clan true god tier, frowned and said, "That was a long time ago. Furthermore, have you ever thought that if we don't join forces with Uriel now, the increasingly powerful common people's regal and his blazing sun kingdom will definitely become our great enemy one day? And a great enemy right in front of us. We have to eliminate the danger in the cradle." Shindu, you make it sound so nice. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. Another blood moon clan true god tier below the true god tier chuckled and stated sarcastically, "Aren't you eager to destroy the common people's regal and save your daughter because your daughter, true god Xianmei, fell into the hands of that common people's regal? Who doesn't know what you're thinking? I'm doing this for the sake of our race." Xiandu retorted angrily, "Who knows what you're thinking?" The blood moon clan true god tier stated indifferently, "We still have to work together. The common people's regal has grown too quickly. Although Uriel is a member of our enemy's clan, he can't threaten us for the time being. But the common people's regal is a troublesome enemy. He has already exterminated the Shadow clan. Next, he will definitely target our race and the other Een Ghost clan, Rakshasa clan, and Heaven Hidden clan who previously prevented humans from retreating to the primordial world. I won't be at ease if I don't kill him." Another handsome male blood moon clan true god tier at the intermediate grade of the true god tier stated in a deep voice, "I'm still worried about Uriel." Another female blood moon clan true god tier shook her head and objected, "We have to deal with the common people's regal first. Uriel can think about it later." Think about it. How long have you been thinking about it? Don't lie to yourself. We've long lost the courage to deal with the titans. It's been like this since the old ancestor. What do you mean? Just as the true god tiers of the Blood Moon clan were about to flare up, the Blood Red Blood Moon clan leader finally raised his head and looked at the Blood Moon clan gods with his crazy blood red eyes. He spoke, but the voice was overlapping. One of them was young and in pain, while the other was old and quiet. Moreover, it was obvious that an old and serene voice dominated the conversation. "Join Uriel. Join Uriel. Kill the common people's regal. Kill the common people's regal," he said. "Yes, old ancestor." The true god tiers of the Blood Moon clan were shocked and immediately stood up to speak respectfully. The Blood Moon clan leader nodded with some struggle. Then, he dropped his head again. His divine physique trembled again, as if he was enduring great pain. Heaven-chasing kingdom. At this moment, the heaven-chasing lord was in his palace, meditating with his eyes closed. Rays of different nomological laws flickered on his body. It looked like there were more than 2,000 nomological laws. All kinds of laws appeared and disappeared as he breathed, giving he an inexplicable origin power. This made he look like an ultimate god king who had grasped endless laws. At this moment, a shepherd's god race member walked in. "Your Majesty, I just received the latest information about the common people's regal," he said respectfully. "Read it," the heaven-chasing lord said without opening his eyes. "Yes, Your Majesty." The shepherd's god race member began to read out the information they had gathered. This included the destruction of the Shadow Clan by the common people's regal, the abnormal movements of the people of foreign races alliance army, the abnormal movements of the Blood Moon clan, and the movements of other forces. This information was not gathered by the intelligence personnel under the heaven-chasing lord, but by him through the intelligence organization of the shepherd's god race behind him. Due to the Supreme Agreement, the shepherd's god race did not dare to blatantly make things convenient for the heaven-chasing lord. Hence, the shepherd's god race sold them to the heaven-chasing lord at a very expensive price. This was a reasonable and legal act in the Supreme Agreement, so neither party was punished. Just like how Zhou Zhou could use the true god-tier divine artifacts to hire human god spirits and even true god tiers to fight for his blazing sun kingdom. Even though the price of purchasing this information was very high, in order to understand the common people's regal situation, Heaven-chasing Lord felt that everything was worth it. The shepherd's god race clansman finished his report after more than half an hour. The heaven-chasing Lord also opened his eyes at this moment. He looked into the distance with mixed feelings. The current situation is as if common people's regal has become a terrifying vortex with extremely strong attraction. Countless lord factions in the huge high continent have actually become the stage and audience of the common people's regal. Lords of top-notch bloodline races like us have actually become his supporting characters. He muttered to himself. He felt both ridiculous and pathetic. However, as a top lord of all races, he quickly composed himself. In that case, wouldn't there be a great calamity for the common people's regal tomorrow? The heaven-chasing lord said. Yes. The shepherd's god race official nodded respectfully, his expression somewhat excited. Even if he waits until tomorrow, his strength will once again increase explosively. It will be very difficult for he to survive this calamity. The heaven-chasing lord nodded and murmured. Common people's regal, you should be dead. If you're not dead, how can the lords and civilizations of the myriad races rest in peace? In a high-tier, deity-level regional territory about 5 trillion kilometers away from the blazing sun kingdom, spirit, demon, divine domain. In a high-tier, deity-level regional territory about 5 trillion kilometers away from the blazing sun kingdom, spirit, demon, divine domain. In the main tent of the people of foreign races, Uriel and a group of true god tier from the people of foreign races were having a battle meeting about the sneak attack on the blazing sun kingdom tomorrow. When discussing the common people's regal in the meeting, the expressions and tone of the upper echelons of the people of foreign races present were somewhat complicated. When they first came to the high continent, they relied on their large number of troops and generals to have many experts. They didn't put the common people's regal in their eyes at all. He never expected that the common people's regal's strength would expand to such an extent in such a short period of time. Even races on the level of the Shadow Clan had been wiped out by the common people's regal. They had no choice but to temporarily expand their army and even form an alliance with the former enemy races. Recalling all of this, they felt as dreamy and ridiculous as a dream. Will the Blood Moon clan agree to our coalition request? At this moment, a true god tier of the people of foreign races said hesitantly. Well, it's hard to judge. The other true god tier from the people of foreign races shook his head. He was not optimistic about the outcome of this alliance. The upper echelons of the people of foreign races present all knew that the titans behind Alliance Master Uriel had an indelible racial hatred with the Blood Moon clan. With this level of hatred, even if they knew that the common people's regal was their true enemy, they probably wouldn't join forces with Uriel so easily. They will definitely do it as long as the Blood Moon clan is not stupid. A true god tier intermediate grade god spirit, who was also from the titan gods like Uriel, took the initiative to speak when he saw that Uriel did not speak. There's no such thing as eternal hatred, only eternal survival and profit. If they don't join forces with us now, if we fail this time, With that common people's regal's personality of taking revenge, what awaits them in the future will definitely be the end of their clan. They aren't stupid. Don't worry. The other true god-tiers hurriedly nodded. Regardless of whether they agreed or not, the true god-tiers of the people of foreign races present were unwilling to disagree with this true god-level expert from the Titan gods. Report. At this moment, a messenger from the people of foreign ethnicity rushed into the main tent and knelt on one knee. He quickly reported respectfully. Reporting to Your Excellency. There's a new secret letter from the Blood Moon clan. With that, he took out a blood-red full moon from his one-time secret spatial equipment. When the true god-tiers of the people of foreign races saw this, they knew that it was the unique communication method of the Blood Moon clan. They immediately probed it with their divine consciousness and perused the news inside. A smile gradually appeared on the Titan true god-tier beside Uriel. The other true god-tiers of the people of foreign races also smiled very quickly. They appeared at each other, their faces filled with satisfaction and surprise. As expected, the leaders of the Blood Moon clan are not fools. They know that they should stand on our side at this time. If they aren't standing with us now, who else can they stand with? Ha ha. With the help of the Blood Moon tribe's trillions of soldiers and 100 true god-tiers, in addition to the trump cards we prepared, no matter how heaven-defying this common people's regal is, he will only die. Tomorrow, we will definitely win. Victory! Victory! The true god-tiers of the people of foreign races laughed heartily after reading the secret letter sent by the Blood Moon clan agreeing to the alliance. They were filled with confidence for the battle tomorrow. At this moment, Uriel, who had been sitting in the main seat with his eyes closed, slowly opened his eyes. I still have to be careful in tomorrow's battle. I have to make sure nothing goes wrong. We can't be careless. Don't forget that the opponent we're facing this time is the common people's regal who is known to have never lost. Those who can obtain the title of regal are never simple. We can't underestimate him. He uttered slowly with a solemn expression. The true god-tiers of the people of foreign races were speechless. They did not expect their alliance master to be so careful, even though they already had such a huge advantage. However, the true god-tiers of the people of foreign races did not dare to refute and agreed respectfully. Are the remnants of the people of foreign races' allied army that the Shadow Clan gathered in place? How many soldiers, god spirits, and true god-tiers have come? Uriel asked the true god-tier beside him. Alliance Master. The remaining troops of the people of foreign races are all stationed around our coalition army. There are more than 350 billion soldiers, 612 god spirits, and 51 true god-tiers. The Titan true god-tier uttered respectfully. Why are there so many missing? Uriel felt that something was amiss and asked. Back then, the Shadow Clan gathered more than 800 billion people of foreign races, more than 6,000 god spirits, and more than 100 true god-tiers. Why is there only so little left? Alliance Master. The Titan true god-tier hurriedly said, apart from the reason for the Shadow Clan's destruction, when the remnants of the people of foreign races gathered their forces in the Blackstone Mountain region, the remnants of the Alliance had a disagreement over whether to continue attacking the Blazing Sun Kingdom, which led to an internal strife. After this internal strife, about 1/10 of the allied forces of the people of foreign races perished in the internal strife. A quarter of the allied forces of the people of foreign races fled with their troops during the internal strife and returned to their own territories. Hence, only these soldiers of the people of foreign races, god spirits, and true god-tiers were left. If we hadn't extended an invitation to the remaining troops of the people of foreign races, I'm afraid the number of remaining troops of the people of foreign races would have only increased. Uriel sneered when he heard that. You're already afraid of battle before the battle even started. Low-level races are low-level races. They're all a motley crew. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of many true god-tier present immediately turned a little ugly. This was because as members of the Uriel people of foreign races, many of them were actually from inferior races. They had only relied on their heaven-defying aptitude and opportunities to forcefully advance to the true god-tier level after going through countless hardships. During this long period of time, they had received the disdain of many top bloodline life forms. Therefore, after hearing Uriel's words, they immediately felt that they had been poked in the sore spot. Uriel noticed the expressions of the true god tier present and knew that he had said something wrong. But so what? As the top genius of the Titans and the seed of the master god tier, he had the right to look down on these true god tier existences. Moreover, these fellows had attached themselves to him for the opportunity to advance to the higher true god tier or even the master god tier level. As long as he grasped this point, no matter how dissatisfied they would not dare to resist him. Apologize? Impossible. That would only weaken his aura and make these guys disloyal. Then, the true god tiers of the people of foreign races and Uriel discussed the specific plans and strategies for tomorrow's battle before the battle meeting ended. After the meeting ended, a small meeting between the 12 true god tiers of the people of foreign races from the inferior bloodline quietly began and ended very quickly. Time passed quickly. The next day, Zhou Zhou woke up from the time world. 10 years of bitter cultivation and a trace of enlightenment. It's still too difficult to rely on myself to comprehend the Lord Law skill. He shook his head with a bitter smile. Then, he looked to his side. He realized that Zhou Manage and Zhou Zhan had already disappeared. It was obvious that they had gone to deal with their own matters. Zhou Zhou smiled faintly when he saw this. Then, he checked the origin in his body and nodded. He muttered to himself, "The origin energy has been replenished. I can create a third clone now." He did not hesitate and immediately activated his talent. Doppelganger technique. The next second, he felt half of the origin power in his body quickly flow out of his heart and gather in his hand, forming a ball of 9-colored origin power. Seeing this familiar scene, Zhou Zhou, who felt that his origin was empty, looked very calm. Then, the ball of light in his hand slowly condensed into a palm-sized Zhou Zhou. He jumped out of Zhou Zhou's hand. As he landed on the ground, he rapidly grew in size. By the time he landed on the ground and was already the size of Zhou Zhou. "Hello, main body," the clone said. Zhou Zhou nodded. "From today onwards, your name will be Zhou Tianming." Zhou Zhou said. "Sure." Zhou Tianming agreed. "What do you want me to do?" When Zhou Zhou heard this, he was already prepared. "As you know, I have an epic tier Lord talent called Super Mission Expert. This Lord talent is actually not inferior to my 100% drop rate back then. If it can be fully used, it won't be a problem for me to get anything. However, this Lord talent has a flaw. He requires the possessor of the Lord talent to travel across the high continent or even the myriad worlds to trigger the mission. I need to guard the territory, so this Lord talent has been buried. Help me travel the entire high continent and even the myriad worlds to develop the Lord talent potential of super mission masters and collect the resources of the high continent and the various worlds. If you obtain treasures that are beneficial to the development of the territory, you can directly bring them back through return to the city. So this is why I'm called Zhou Tianming." Zhou Tianming nodded and smiled. "Don't you need me to stay here and fight with you today?" "No need." Zhou Zhou shook his head. "Sure. Then I'll set off now." Zhou Tianming did not waste his breath. He flew out of the Divine Kingdom passageway alone and concealed his aura. He flew out of the Blazing Sun Kingdom and quickly disappeared from the range of Zhou Zhou's divine senses. Letting Zhou Tianming stay outside can be considered my backup plan. In the future, if anything happens to me and I lose, I'll be reborn from Zhou Tianming and try to make a comeback." Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. Then, he grabbed out some true god-tier supplements from his king's treasure box to replenish his origin. He straight consumed them before entering the time world to cultivate. At the same time, the Mu residence. One of Zhou Zhou's clones, Zhou Fight, was drinking tea and chatting with Mu Gu. At this moment, a white stream of light flew out of the Scarlet Broodmother and landed in front of Zhou Fight. It was Bai Yun. He held the 3 world rings and respectfully said, "Your Majesty, these are all the class change certificates, recruitment books, and other loots." When Zhou Fight saw this, his divine sense entered the 3 world rings. In the first world ring, there were 360 billion copies of the Violent Storm Spirit class change certificate and 360 billion copies of the Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier Class Change Certificate. In the Second World Ring, there were 360 billion Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books and 360 billion Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier recruitment books. As for the Third Spatial Ring, it contained a huge number of nest monster loots, such as the Thunder Element Gems, the Iron Eating Bear's Pet Egg, the Fear Falcon's Wings, and so on. When Zhou Fight saw this, he smiled. Then, he grabbed the Second and Third World Rings from Bai Yun's hands. The usual. Use the Class Change Certificate to create new recruits and change all the Violent Storm Spirit soldiers among the new recruits to Forbidden Mages. I'll use the recruitment books to recruit new recruits. Zhou Fight stood up and said, "Yes, Your Majesty." Bai Yun uttered respectfully, "Goodbye, Your Majesty. Legion Commander Blazing Sun Army, take care." Mugu instantly stood up and uttered respectfully. Zhou Fight and Bai Yun nodded. Then, they turned into two streams of light and soared out of the Divine Kingdom world. When they arrived at the Blazing Sun Kingdom, Bai Yun went straight to the Galaxy encampment. This was because all the new recruits in the Blazing Sun Kingdom who had not joined the army had temporarily arranged for their base to be on Galaxy, which had an internal world. After all, the internal world of the Galaxy was huge. The internal world of the Galaxy could carry 1 billion soldiers to eat, drink, shit, and train daily. It would be a waste not to use such an excellent garrison venue. Zhou Fight went straight to the Gate of Summoning. He gazed at the Gate of Summoning in front of him. He first communicated with Wanya in his heart and questioned her to summon 800 Galaxy. Then, he put all the 720 billion recruitment books into the Gate of Summoning and let the 720 billion recruits that had yet to appear be located in the inner world of the Galaxy. Finally, he used 100 legendary tier mist cores to summon all the recruits. After they all came out and landed in the inner world of the Galaxy, Zhou Fight spoke briefly to these new recruits and questioned Wanya to bring the Violent Storm Spirit to the Forbidden Mage job change statue of Su Yuan so that they could change jobs with the new recruits under Bai Yun. Now, including these recruits, the total strength of the combat soldiers of my main legion has officially reached 2,900 billion 23.96 million soldiers. Including the 120 billion soldiers of the Star Alliance, my soldiers have officially broken through 3 trillion and reached 3 trillion and 20 billion soldiers. Zhou Fight thought to himself in satisfaction as he watched the 800 Galaxy carrying the new recruits leave. Zhou Fight was very satisfied. There were more than 300 million soldiers. In addition, there were nearly 6,000 god spirits and 18 true god tiers. This was the entire strength of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, and not counting the outcome of the human true god tier. Looking at all the bloodline inheritances in my mind, this is the first time I've seen a kingdom of my strength. It's unprecedented. There's a high chance that no one will come again. Zhou Zhou smiled gently. Then, he didn't think too much about it. After summoning the new recruits, he also spent 100 legendary tier mist cores to summon all the new subjects for today. Because he had upgraded the Gate of Summoning last night, he had summoned 316,000 people in one go today. He summoned 32,000 more people than usual. Initially, Zhou Fight was quite happy. However, when he called out all 1,256 professionals and understood their professions, he quickly calmed down. This was because he realized that these professionals were actually very ordinary professionals. There were no special professionals like divine artifact forging apprentices, evil magicians, mages, and puppeteers. Forget it, forget it. How can I be so lucky every time I summon? Zhou Fight comforted himself in his heart. Then, he handed these new subjects to the staff beside him to arrange before heading to the Lord Shop alone. The Lord Shop. When Zhou Fight arrived, Zhou Qingmin had been waiting for a long time. "Greetings, Your Majesty." His Majesty seems to be in a good mood today. Zhou Qingmin smiled. "I see you're in a good mood too. You're actually starting to ask me such a question. I thought you only had games in your mind every day." Zhou Fight smiled. "Your Majesty must be teasing me." Zhou Qingmin didn't feel awkward when he heard this. He reached out and took out the 3 golden boxes under the counter. "I didn't summon any special professional subjects today. I should be able to see some special products, right? Zhou Fai joked. However, when Zhou Qingmin heard this, he actually smiled and nodded. Of course, there are indeed some new products that have just been put on the shelves today. Your Majesty will know when you see them. What kind of new subject did I summon? Why don't you give me products related to new subjects? Zhou Fai's focus was not on the new products, but on the mechanism of the Lord's shop. It was really determined by what kind of new subjects appeared in his territory. Some of the merchandise is like that. But there are occasional exceptions. That's because the selection mechanism for the goods on sale in His Majesty's Lord Shop is based on whether His Majesty has such goods himself. Therefore, if His Majesty doesn't have such goods himself, the Lord Shop will put up such goods to make up for His Majesty's shortcomings. If His Majesty has everything, there's a high chance that some valuable goods will be put up for sale that His Majesty might already have. It was rare for Zhou Qingmin to explain. Zhou Fai was enlightened. However, he was not too surprised. In fact, he had a certain speculation about the mechanism of putting up goods in the Lord's shop. Now that Zhou Qingmin told him about this mechanism, his speculation was confirmed to be correct. Why did you suddenly tell me the mechanism of putting up goods in the Lord's shop? I've asked you this question before. You almost didn't say anything back then. Zhou Fai asked curiously. His Majesty's strength and Lord's power are improving by leaps and bounds every day. Actually, even if I don't say it, sooner or later, His Majesty will understand the mechanism. I only told His Majesty in advance in an innocuous time. Zhou Qingmin chuckled. Zhou Fai nodded thoughtfully. His words were easy to understand. Simply put, when he was strong enough, he was qualified to know some things, so he told him these things. That was indeed the case. Regardless of when, where, and what they did, strength and influence would always be the ones who had the qualifications to know internal information. Without another word, he opened the 3 boxes. Without another word, he opened the 3 boxes. This was because there were 3 cards quietly placed in the 3 golden boxes. He looked at them one by one. Card name, free advanced commodity access card. Card level, special. Card effect, the Lord holds this card. When shopping in the Lord shop, you can buy goods worth 50 million legendary tier mist cores and below for free. Card name, commodity copy card. Card level, special. Card effect, if the Lord holds this card, you can copy it for free and own any goods that you have bought in the Lord shop. Card name, commodity access unsealing card. Card level, special. Card effect, with this card, the Lord can unseal the rights to use the goods bought in the Lord shop, excluding card-type goods, allowing it to be transferred to other life forms. Current card usage, 3/3. Prompt. With the enhancement of your Collector Lord talent, the current card usage has increased to 7/7. They're all exclusive products of the Lord shop? Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. It was all right. Even though it was not a particularly precious and useful product, it could still be used. How much mist core are these 3 cards? Zhou Zhou asked. A free advanced commodity acquisition card, worth 10,000 legendary tier mist cores. Commodity replication card, valued 5,000 legendary tier mist cores. Merchandise usage authority unsealing card, worth 3,000 legendary tier mist cores. Zhou Qingmin smiled. Zhou Zhou nodded. Zhou Fai took out 151,100 legendary tier mist cores and handed them to Zhou Qingmin. Thank you. Zhou Qingmin took it with a smile. Zhou Fai nodded and turned to leave. He flew directly in the direction of the Forbidden Mage's statue. He came to the Forbidden Mage's class advancement statue. A total of 720 billion soldiers suddenly surrounded the huge profession change statue. Some of them were soldiers who had already transitioned to Forbidden Mages, while the rest were soldiers who were in the process of transitioning to Forbidden Mages. When Zhou Fai saw this scene, he suddenly thought of something. Since Su Yuan is yet alive, I wonder if he can receive this power of faith? Su Yuan received it. Moreover, the reaction was very violent. The side effect was that even after resting for a while, the goddess of magic yet felt that her stamina had not recovered. To a master god-tier god spirit, this was merely unbelievable. It was clear how ferocious Su Yuan was. Why are you so fierce today? Did that guy drug you again? The goddess of magic, Mishtra, stretched her body and looked at Su Yuan seductively. I yet need strong medicine? Su Yuan was about to retort, but when he saw the meaningful look in Mishtra's eyes, he coughed and said, "It's just a tiny external force." Small? How small? Mishtra was curious. It's probably equivalent to 720 billion extraordinary tier life forms pushing me from behind. Su Yuan mused for a moment and said, Mishtra's beautiful eyes widened. 720 billion extraordinary tier life forms? You're saying that the Lord of the Blazing Sun found another 720 billion kingdom-level spellcasters to alter their profession to become your empire-level combat profession. Forbidden Mage? It sounds incredible, but it's true. Su Yuan nodded and sighed. That common people's regal is indeed extraordinary. No wonder he could become a regal. In the future, he might become a master god tier, or even a supreme god realm. The supreme god realm. In Su Yuan's heart, he was already a peak god spirit. As for higher will level existences, such as regal great lunar, regal great solar, and even higher level supreme wills and the crimson overlord, strictly speaking, they no longer belong to the god spirit species. Supreme god realm? You've underestimated him. The goddess of magic, Mishtra, shook her head and said, according to my understanding, that common people's regal is an existence that has just stepped into low-tier deity level and has already comprehended the power of will. Master God tier, or even supreme god realm, is actually not difficult for him. If he works harder, he might really be able to step into the level of a will existence in the future. A low-level deity has comprehended the power of will. Su Yuan's eyes widened when he heard this. This was the first time he had heard of this. Is this for real? Even if he is a regal, he can't grasp the power of will at the level of a lesser god, right? Isn't that too ridiculous? I'm the master of magic. My believers are all over the high continent and even the myriad worlds. Even some master god tier are my best friends. Do you think what I've learned from them is fake? Mr. smiled. Su Yuan opened his mouth wide and suddenly felt like he had nothing to live for. He, a forbidden archmage who had been a true god tier for nearly 10,000 years, was actually inferior to a human rookie who had been in the high continent for 3 months in terms of willpower comprehension. He felt as though he had lived for nothing. Don't be discouraged. Even though the common people's regal has only been in the high continent for a short period of time, the aura of time on he is not short. He should have entered a world with a huge difference in time flow compared to the high continent, which is why he has such achievements. At this point, Mr. paused. Even though he had indeed sensed this from the other party, the common people's regal had probably entered that world for less than 1,000 years ago. To be able to have such strength and comprehension of laws in such a short period of time, not to mention him, even if a supreme god realm descended, they would sigh in admiration. In comparison, her man was really a little inferior to him. He shook his head inwardly and stopped thinking about it. When Su Yuan heard this, his mood improved a little. I see. Then let's continue. Okay. Mistra's eyes lit up as she lay down again and adjusted her posture. At this moment, Su Yuan, who was full of energy, was naturally not afraid. He did not hesitate to fight again. Half an hour later, in the Blazing Sun Kingdom. At this moment, all the violent storm spirit soldiers had already changed their professions to forbidden mages. They were all arranged by Bai Yun to join the veterans on Galaxy. Just as Zhou Fight was about to cooperate with Bai Yun to put on a show to lure Uriel over for a sneak attack, the sky above the Blazing Sun Kingdom suddenly changed color. The clouds in the sky within a radius of 10 million miles turned red, emitting the power of lava laws. Higher up in the starry sky, a resplendent divine kingdom star slowly condensed and finally released a resplendent scarlet light that illuminated the myriad worlds. Yanzhe has finally become a true god tier. Zhou Fight nodded slightly. At the same time, such a huge abnormality in the starry sky naturally alarmed the gods of the high continent and the myriad worlds. And when they cast their gazes at the source of the divine kingdom's star, they were immediately numb. It's the Blazing Sun Kingdom again. How long has it been? Why is there always a new true god tier in the Blazing Sun Kingdom? Could the Blazing Sun Kingdom be favored by the providence of the High Continent, so it's easy for a true god tier to be born? I even want to bring my disciple to the Blazing Sun Kingdom to cultivate. Perhaps my disciple will have a chance to advance to the true god tier in the future. Hee, the Blazing Sun Kingdom of the common people's regal is so arrogant. They don't even have the intention to hide something as important as advancing to the true god tier. Such a lord's faction won't be able to go far in the future. I'm so envious. I also want my empire to give birth to a true god tier every few days. The divinities from the various worlds watched for a while before looking away. Now that they all knew of Zhou Zhou's abilities, they naturally would not come knocking on his door to get beaten up. This made Zhou Zhou, who had prepared the 9 worlds divine demon dreamfall array and various other defensive and counterattack methods, feel that it was a pity. He still wanted to take the opportunity to destroy a few ignorant true god tiers. At this moment, the Yellow Emperor and the rest flew out of the galaxy and came to Zhou Fight's side. Congratulations, Patriarch. Congratulations. There's a new true god tier in the territory. The Yellow Emperor and the others congratulated. At this moment, they were already used to it. Actually, it was quite easy to accept this scene after getting used to it, my ass. How could there be a true god tier existence? Why did they pop out one by one like this? It's too early for you to be happy. Zhou Fight smiled at the gods' congratulations. Hearing this, the gods let out a cry of surprise, unable to react for a moment. Then, he was the first to react. He gulped and looked at Zhou Fight in disbelief. Patriarch, are you going to give birth to a true god tier here? Zhou Fight smiled, but did not say anything. When the true god tiers saw this, they could not ask. They could only suppress the excitement and anticipation in their hearts and begin to wait. A moment later, the phenomenon of Yanzei advancing to the true god tier progressively dissipated. It was obvious that Yanzei's advancement was coming to an end, and he had successfully achieved his true god tier status. Just as the gods were preparing to welcome the new true god tier, screech, a shocking sword cry sounded. Soon after, the sky above the Blazing Sun Kingdom, which had already calmed down, transformed color once more. The clouds within a radius of 100 million square kilometers quickly turned into supreme sword chi that contained thousands of phenomena. These supreme sword chi emitted extremely sharp power of the sword Tao that no one dared to look at directly. In the distant starry sky, a sword divine kingdom star that emitted endless majestic sword chi slowly condensed. Then, its sword Tao divine light began to illuminate the myriad worlds. Zhou Fight nodded slightly. Qi Xintian, this sword Tao genius, had finally advanced to the true god tier. A moment later, the supreme sword Qi phenomenon dissipated, just as the gods thought that everything was finally over. Boom. The sky above the Blazing Sun Kingdom transformed color once more. In the distant starry sky, stars appeared out of thin air, emitting a dazzling light and an extremely terrifying gravitational force. Amidst the light and gravitational force, an incomparably huge divine kingdom star, surrounded by thousands of stars, slowly solidified. After it completely condensed, it suddenly emitted a dazzling 5-colored starlight that lit the myriad worlds. Zhou Fight smiled when he saw this scene. Yuan Song had finally successfully advanced to a true god tier. As for the Yellow Emperor and the other god spirits of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, as well as the god spirits of the myriad worlds who were paying attention to this scene, they felt numb. 3 true god tier cultivators had advanced at almost the same time, and they were all from the same faction. Such a scene could be asserted to be rarely seen in 100,000 years. Even most of the Divine Kingdom factions could only shrink back in the face of such a matter and sigh in admiration. This scene was destined to be remembered in the history of the myriad worlds. Not long after the true god tier phenomenon of the Yuan Song ended, the new phenomenon of becoming a god finally did not appear again. Patriarch, there shouldn't be any new true god tiers here who have advanced, right? Patriarch Lu waited for a while before asking. I don't think so today. Zhou Fight chuckled. That's good. The Yellow Emperor and the other true god tiers heaved a sigh of relief. Even though it was a great thing for the Blazing Sun Kingdom and the entire human race to have a few more true God-tier existences. With such a good thing happening so frequently, the veteran true God-tiers still felt that their worldview was being challenged and overturned. But then, they suddenly reacted. Their patriarch seemed to be saying that there were no new true God-tiers today. Today, what does this mean? Is he going to come again tomorrow? This unbelievable guess appeared in their minds. Just as they were about to ask Zhou fight more, a scarlet stream of light, a holy white sword aura, and a five-colored stream of light flew out of the divine kingdom passageway. Then, in the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Zhou fight and bowed respectfully. Greetings, Your Majesty. They were the three newly advanced true God tiers, Yanzhe, Qi Xiantian, and Yuan Song. Get up. Zhou fight smiled and lifted the three true God tiers up with ease. How does it feel to become a true God tier? Zhou fight asked with a faint smile. It's okay. An indescribable feeling. I feel great now. The three gods, Yuan Song, Qi Xiantian, and Yanzhe, said respectively. Yuan Song and Qi Xiantian were relatively calm, especially the Yuan Kong. After all, it came from a large clan like the Shepherd's God race. Even though a true God tier was considered an expert in the Shepherd's God race, to top geniuses like Yuan Song, they could only be considered to have reached the same level as his elders in the tribe. If one wanted to be proud, the Yuan Song would only show its pride when it advanced to a true God tier advanced grade, or even a master God tier in the future. As for Qi Xiantian, he was a genius in the sword Dao of the human race. Even though his background was inferior to Yuan Song, he had a calm and distant heart of the sword Dao. Therefore, as soon as his arrogant emotions appeared, he easily appeased them. This was because Qi Xiantian felt that in an environment where a true God tier, like the Blazing Sun Kingdom, was considered an ordinary top-notch combat power, he had yet to reach the level where he could be proud. As an advanced grade Master God tier, he had the highest potential in the world. He felt that when he advanced to the Master God tier level in the future and could protect his country and race, he would have the right to be proud. As for Yanzhe, he was known as the future true God tier seed in the Fire Cry race. However, when he broke through this bottleneck so easily and became a true God tier, he could not help but feel a little excited. Actually, most of the people of the Fire Cry human race were hot-tempered and straightforward. Appeasement? Forcefully suppress your feelings? Don't be arrogant when you can be arrogant? Impossible. The main emotion was written all over his face. This is your true God tier congratulatory gift. Take it as a congratulatory gift in advance for the three of you becoming true gods. As for your holy god ceremony, we'll hold it immediately tonight. General Zhou threw 3 spatial rings containing 3 sets of true God tier artifacts to Yuan Song and the others, then said with a faint smile. When the Yuan Song saw this, they hurriedly took the 3 spatial rings. When they saw the 3 sets of true God tier divine artifacts in the spatial rings, their faces immediately revealed excited and surprised expressions. To be honest, ever since His Majesty began to get used to giving each newly advanced true God tier a set of elementary grade divine artifacts, one of their cultivation goals had unknowingly been to obtain this set of true God tier divine artifacts. It had finally come true. Even though only one of the 6 elementary grade true God tier divine artifacts belonged to them, and the other 5 were lent to them by their emperor, they were also very satisfied. Now let's get ready, Zhou Fight said. Yes, Your Majesty. Yuan Song and the others nodded, then flew away and began to prepare for the upcoming battle. Half an hour later, 2,000 galaxy spaceships soared into the sky and disappeared into space. No one knew where they went. At this moment, it was as if the Homeland Defense Army was the only one left in the huge Blazing Sun Kingdom. It looked the most empty and powerless. In an extremely hidden interlayer of space that was extremely far away from the imperial capital, 2 strange creatures with true God-tier auras and a huge single eye were looking in the direction where the 2,000 galaxy ships disappeared. Because the one-eyed gods were best at long-distance detection, Uriel had specially ordered them to come here to observe the mobilization of the army of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Once they discovered that the Blazing Sun Kingdom's main combat army had left the capital, they needed to immediately tell this news to Uriel and his allied army to determine the timing of their sneak attack. They had been anticipating here for a long time and had been maintaining their law skills to observe the situation in the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Now, even the divine power in their bodies was almost depleted because they were maintaining this law skill. Now that they saw the Blazing Sun Kingdom's main army leave, they immediately became excited. They seemed to have left. One of the one-eyed gods said, "Yes, I saw it too. The Blazing Sun Kingdom's main army has all entered the Machina race's spaceship. They have already flown very far away. Looking at the direction they are flying in, they should be from the Blood Moon clan." Another of the one-eyed gods blinked and said, "I saw it too. But let's take another look just in case there's an accident. Just in case it's a trap." "Sure." The two one-eyed gods activated their law skills again and saw a shocking divine light erupt from their single eye. Not only could they see the hidden object in space, but they could also see the galaxy fleets sailing in the dark universe. However, in the next second, they saw the peerlessly handsome man who seemed to be the most perfect life form in the world. Humph! A cold snort sounded in their minds, interrupting the prying of the two one-eyed gods. Not only that, the power of the snort even penetrated deep into their souls. At that moment, they felt a splitting headache, and countless blood vessels emerged in their huge single eye. They even felt as if their eyes happened to be about to explode. "Ah, my eyes!" The two one-eyed gods wailed in pain. At the same time, they happened to be extremely afraid. What kind of power was this? He was able to actually make them suffer from a cold snort from such a distance. This common people's regal didn't use his unique law skill to raise his cultivation to the limit of a true god tier, but he by now had such a terrifying ability. What would happen if he advanced to the limits of the true god tier? They naturally did not know. In this world, there was a power that was not restricted by one's strength and realm. It was called will. It was precisely because of the power of their wills that they happened to be injured by Zhou Fight's cold snort and had no choice but to interrupt their nomological mystic techniques. At the same time, in the dark universe, inside the galaxy leader, which was surrounded by 2,000 galaxy ships, Zhou Fight was sitting in the captain's seat with a cold expression. If he hadn't wanted to lure the enemy over, he would have teleported over and killed the two one-eyed gods' true god tiers with 2 slaps. As for the power of that cold snort, it naturally came from the power of will. During this period of cultivation in the time world, even though he did not make much progress in the Third Lord Law skill, he had unexpectedly gained some insights in the use of willpower. He had also created this willpower skill that could combine soul protection and soul counterattack. Zhou Zhou called it the voice of will. Under the voice of will, not to mention a true god tier, even a master god tier level existence would easily be injured if they rashly came into contact with Zhou Zhou. If not for the fact that Zhou Zhou was afraid of alerting Uriel and scaring him away, his voice of will would have been enough to instantly kill the two one-eyed true god tiers. Even though they could not be killed instantly, they had left a certain amount of damage in the depths of their souls. Without true god tier level medicine to recover, the damage to their souls would not recover for 10,000 years. "Your Excellency, I felt like someone was spying on us just now." At this moment, after Tarokal was informed, he came in front of Zhou Zhou and said with a bewildered expression. He was a top-notch true god-tier advanced grade expert. His perception surpassed that of other true god-tier experts, which was why he was able to rush over immediately. "Uriel wanted to check on us just now. He has already been expelled by this king. Ignore him and continue with the original plan." Zhou Fight said calmly. "Yes, Your Majesty." Tarokal heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. He nodded and left the captain's room. Zhou Fight calmly communicated with Zhou Manage. Today, Zhou Manage had another mission. Instead of dealing with political affairs in the capital, he went out to retrieve something. They would have a 90% chance of winning against Uriel as long as they obtained that thing. Zhou Fight received a message from Zhou Manage. "Did you get it? Good." A cold smile appeared on Zhou Fight's face. At the same time, after the two one-eyed gods' true god tiers recovered from the immense pain in their souls, they immediately flew towards the people of foreign races camp where Uriel was. In the huge high-tier deity-level territory, there were more than 247 billion people of foreign races soldiers, more than 10,000 ordinary god spirits, and 203 true god-tier existences. When they returned, the two one-eyed gods' true god-tier's fear of the common people's regal eased a little. They soon met Uriel. Has the common people's regal left the Blazing Sun Kingdom? Uriel asked immediately when he saw them. Yes, he's gone, but the two one-eyed gods' true god-tiers honestly told Uriel what they had experienced. Then, they said with fear, common people's regal is too terrifying. He can actually injure our souls with just one look. If we hadn't seen he fight before, we would have suspected that he had already become a master god tier. Even though Uriel looked calm on the surface, he was also shocked in his heart. Then, he became even more afraid of Zhou Zhou. This fellow had actually become stronger again. He couldn't wait any longer. If he waited any longer, he might not even be able to deal with this guy before he became a master god tier. He immediately stood up and summoned the soldiers and god spirits to prepare for a sneak attack on the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Alliance Master, the common people's regal has already discovered our existence. Do you think he will be alerted and return to the Blazing Sun Kingdom ahead of time to disrupt our sneak attack plan? The one-eyed god's true god tier, who had been watching Uriel command the troops, could not help but ask worriedly. That's why every second counts. Uriel's expression was resolute. The reason why the common people's regal can become so powerful as a human is not only because he has mastered the law of overlords, but also because of his lord talent. It's said that he has an extremely powerful lord talent, or even more than one. That's why he has risen to this day. As long as we destroy the Blazing Sun King and destroy his territory and the golden tablet of the kingdom, causing he to lose his status as a lord, his strength and the strength of the soldiers and god spirits under he will decrease by at least half. By then, even if common people's regal realizes something halfway and returns to the king's city, he will become easy to deal with. The two one-eyed gods' true god tiers were instantly enlightened. No wonder Uriel was so insistent on launching a sneak attack on the Blazing Sun Kingdom. It turned out that there was such a consideration. Understood. Let's get ready too. The two one-eyed gods' true god tiers did not say anything else and immediately flew off to prepare. Only Uriel, whose eyes were dark, was left looking in the direction of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. More than 10 trillion subjects were gathered at the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Even though there were many subjects in the capital, because the capital occupied a large area and the layout of the buildings was very reasonable, even if more than 10 trillion subjects settled here, it did not seem crowded at all. Instead, it only made this place look prosperous and popular. At this moment, in the sky, crack, 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 space fissures suddenly appeared in the sky above the Blazing Sun Kingdom, rapidly expanding and expanding to a radius of tens of millions of square kilometers in the blink of an eye. The next second, rumble. The space was broken, revealing the scene inside. In the dark space, huge silver-gray Titan battleships that were 5,000 kilometers long were lying across the dark space. At a glance, there were millions of them. On each Titan battleship stood hundreds of millions of soldiers from the people of foreign races and a large number of battleship weapons. In the middle of these Titan battleships, Uriel stood in the void, holding a spatial-type mystical object that emitted the aura of a master god tier in his right hand. Right on the heels of that, Uriel took out another strange item that emitted the aura of a master god tier with his left hand. It was a needle contaminated by the heretic god's blood. The master god tier mysterious item, the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle. This was a strange object that the Titans had collected specifically to break through world barriers, array barriers, and other barrier-type defensive facilities. In order to deal with Zhou Zhou, Uriel possessed specially applied for this miraculous item from the Titan god's treasury. Go on. Uriel's mind moved. The world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle soared out of his hand and turned into a stream of light that shot straight at the Blazing Sun King below. When the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle was 100,000 meters away from the Blazing Sun Kingdom, it suddenly paused, as if it possessed stabbed into something. Immediately after, A barrier that was filled with illusions of dreams slowly appeared, protecting the entire Blazing Sun Kingdom. It stood the 9 worlds divine demon dreamfall array. However, this true god-tier level nation-protecting array only lasted for more than 10 seconds before it shattered, causing the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle to shoot straight towards the center of the capital. To be precise, it stood at the divine kingdom passageway in the sky above the central area of the capital. It stood extremely fast and reached in front of the divine kingdom passageway in the blink of an eye. Just as it stood about to pierce the divine kingdom passageway, a hand wearing a long-sleeved glove that emitted a rainbow-colored glow suddenly emerged and quietly pinched the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle. A figure walked out of the divine kingdom passageway. It was none other than Zhou Zhou. He looked at the restless world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle in his hand and could not help but click his tongue in wonder. As expected of a master god-tier seed born from the Titans, he had used a master god-tier level mystical item right from the start. Even though this strange object was inferior to a master god-tier divine artifact, in terms of its specialty, it was actually not inferior to the power of a regular master god-tier divine artifact at all. With a thought, he activated the master thief's robbery gloves, wanting to forcefully plunder this master god-tier divine artifact. However, his gloves suddenly emitted a 7-colored light. Then, the 7-colored light didn't last long before it gradually dimmed and finally disappeared. After the master thief's robbery gloves failed to be stolen, the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle suddenly emitted an extremely filthy blood-red light, causing Zhou Zhou to narrow his eyes. Then, when the blood light dissipated, he looked over and saw that the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle in his hand had already disappeared. He looked up. The world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle had already appeared beside Uriel. Zhou Zhou felt that it was a pity. As a legendary tier lord talent's innate creation, the master thief's robbery gloves was essentially just a high-tier deity-level advance grade divine artifact with strange effects. They weren't even true god-tier divine artifacts. It was indeed very difficult to control this master god-tier mystical item with such a grade of innate creation. If I upgrade the legendary tier lord talent, Master Thief's robbery gloves, to the mythical tier, the only lord talent, I should be able to steal that fiend needle. This thought flashed across Zhou Zhou's mind. The upper limit of the mythical tier lord talent was the master god tier. As long as it was not a supreme god realm or higher level treasure, it could actually be easily controlled by the mythical tier unique lord talent. At the same time, Uriel narrowed his eyes when he saw that the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle that he had released was easily controlled by Zhou Zhou and escaped back to his side. He wasn't surprised by Zhou Zhou's appearance. This was because he had long learned from the Titans that this common people's regal had more than one clone. It didn't matter whether it was Zhou Zhou's clone or his true body. They could just wipe them out together. And to his surprise, the fiend needle was actually held by this fellow with one hand. Even though the world-breaking evil blood filthy fiend needle was not a specialized offensive item, it was not something that an ordinary true god tier could control so easily. With that move just now, even if the common people's regal didn't have the combat power of a master god tier, it should be infinitely close to the level of a master god tier. Knowledge is not as good as fighting. This human is indeed qualified to obtain the title of regal, Uriel thought. At this moment, Zhou Zhou's voice came from the capital of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, and his voice spread throughout the entire people of foreign races alliance of Uriel. Uriel, you actually dared to launch a sneak attack on this king of the Blazing Sun's capital. Aren't you afraid of being severely punished by the Supreme Agreement? Uriel smiled coldly and said, Common people's regal. The human race offending the Titan gods is already on our list of races that must be killed. The day I came to the High Continent, this point was already made clear. Yet, you harbored the human race and even attacked their race with the human true god-tier leaders. Clearly, you're in cahoots with them. Can't I destroy your lord's faction while exterminating the human race? Offend the Titans? Just based on the groundless defamation charges you fabricated. Zhou Zhou sneered. You know very well whether you're guilty of defamation or not, Uriel said calmly. He looked like he couldn't be bothered to answer. Zhou Zhou could not be bothered to say anything else. If even the human race's usual ridicule of the Titan gods could be considered a crime of insulting the Titan gods, the weak races in the endless heavens would have long been wiped out. Who didn't occasionally complain about top-notch bloodlines after all? This kind of thing could be big or small. Uriel was using this to make a big deal out of it. Zhou Zhou really couldn't do anything to him. It seemed that the Supreme Agreement was the same. However, he didn't care anymore. He had fully grown. In addition, he had the door to the Shadow Realm. Now, even if the Master God tier were to descend personally, he wouldn't be afraid of anything on the High Continent. And outside the Supreme Continent, Zhou Zhou had the door of the Shadow Realm with him. He could directly escape if he encountered an enemy at the Master God tier level that he could not deal with. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of Uriel's threat at all. He even wanted to keep all of them here. At this moment, Uriel looked at the broken Nine Worlds Divine Demon Dreamfall array and waved his hand with a cold expression. The millions of Titan battleships behind he were activated. Some of them flew towards the Blazing Sun King, while the rest activated various war weapons from afar to launch a long-range attack on the Blazing Sun King. Boom, 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 boom. Billions of powerful attacks bombarded the King of the Blazing Sun at an astonishing speed. If this round of bombardment completely fell, it could completely blast the King of the Blazing Sun into ruins. However, when Zhou Zhou saw this scene, he had no intention of stopping her. He did not even have the intention to activate the other level of the Nine Worlds Divine Demon Dreamfall array. When Uriel saw this, he was still in shock when he saw that the billions of trillions of attacks were suddenly blocked by a black gold illusory city wall that suddenly appeared when they were about 100,000 meters above the capital. The ancient scene of tens of thousands of races coexisting harmoniously was engraved on the black gold city wall. Naturally, it exuded a primitive aura. In front of this black gold illusory city wall, these trillions of malicious attacks that had no lack of true god-tier cultivators were actually all blocked. Not even a trace of the aftershock of the explosion could penetrate the Blazing Sun Imperial City. When Zhou Zhou saw this, a faint smile appeared on his face. The surrounding soldiers, who had already set up defenses on the city wall to counterattack, heaved a sigh of relief. Supreme defense? Uriel narrowed his eyes and looked at the black gold illusory city wall for a while before saying in surprise, "Wasn't this ancient city wall destroyed in the war between the two divine kingdoms 500,000 years ago? At that time, a master god-tier lord of the divine kingdom had used this city wall to search for a way to repair it. It was said that he had even gone to the Sunstar once. Unfortunately, he had been rejected in the end and had never been able to repair it. He didn't expect to see this ancient city wall today." Uriel had the ancient inheritance of the Titans in his mind. With just a few glances, he was able to tell the origin of the city wall. This common people's regal had a lot of treasures. He pondered for 2 seconds and searched for a way to break out of the situation. In the end, he ordered, "Continue the offensive until we break through this wall." Back then, even the intact Supreme Defense could not withstand the combined attack of 10,000 God Spirits and more than 100 true God tiers, causing it to be destroyed. He had brought more God Spirits and true God tiers this time. He believed that his side was able to easily break the Supreme Defense and capture or kill the common people's regal Zhou inside. Boom, 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 boom. The continuous attacks landed on the Supreme Defense before the Vanguard and were blocked by it. Zhou Zhou gazed at this special building and was able to not help but sigh. As expected of the special building that he had opened from the mythical tier treasure chest. Now that he had advanced to the advanced grade of a true god tier, its defense was able to completely fight an official battle of the divine kingdoms. However, if he continued to resist Uriel's attack, the Supreme Defense might not be able to withstand it. He had to think of a way to break out of the situation. The way to break out of this situation remained also very simple. Zhou Zhou lifted his right hand and ignited the 10,000 Spirit Saint. The next second, an invisible wave instantly spread from his right palm to a radius of 10 million kilometers, enveloping Uriel and the 247 billion people of foreign races soldiers, 10,000 ordinary god spirits, and 203 true god-tier existences. Uriel's expression changed when he saw Zhou Zhou's actions. He immediately took out a pure gold necklace and floated in front of him. Then, he injected his true god-tier divine power into it. As the true god-tier's divine power continued to pour in, the pure gold necklace trembled slightly before spreading out an invisible wave that protected all the soldiers, heroes, and god spirits under him. However, the methods he had prepared were completely useless against the 10,000 Spirit Saint. Under the influence of the 10,000 Spirit Saint, the gazes of half of the soldiers, heroes, and god spirits immediately changed. Then, they attacked their companions beside them without hesitation. The Titan battleships' originally fierce and dense attacks also suddenly became scattered because of this sudden internal strife, causing the pressure facing the supreme defense to instantly decrease greatly. Seeing this scene, Uriel's face instantly darkened, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. The golden necklace in his hand was called Guardian of the God of Mind. This was a one-time use treasure created by a master god-tier advanced grade existence. Its level had also reached that of a master god-tier advanced grade existence. Later on, the other party made a deal with the Titan gods and traded this treasure to them. Uriel checked Zhou Zhou's information and knew that Zhou Zhou had a very shocking insight defection method. After he could incite a large number of soldiers from the opposing camp to become his soldiers during wartime, he immediately applied to the clan and obtained this treasure. He originally thought that by relying on this one-time wonder item of a master god-tier advanced grade, he would be able to avoid the terrifying means of the common people's regal's insight defection during wartime. He did not expect that the other party would still instigate half of his soldiers and god spirits to instigate insight defection. He didn't want to believe such a thing. That was the treasure of a master god-tier advanced grade after all. Such a treasure actually could not affect the other party's methods. He did not even use the weakening effect. Could the methods that the common people's regal had mastered had already reached the supreme god realm? What a joke. What he didn't know was, the 10,000 Spirit Saint that Zhou Zhou used was the effect of the mythical tier 1 and only Lord Talent. Its level was comparable to a Master God tier advanced grade law skill. Moreover, it was a Lord law skill of a Master God tier advanced grade. Once this law skill was used, it was naturally not something that an ordinary one-time wonder created by an ordinary Master God tier could resist. At the same time, in the capital of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, Bai Yun, who was waiting for an opportunity in the dark, immediately received an order from Zhou Zhou the moment the internal strife began. Lead the entire army and attack. As the Legion commander, Bai Yun naturally knew that this was the best time to attack the other party. As the Legion commander, Bai Yun naturally knew that this was the best time to attack the other party. All soldiers, heroes, and worshipped god spirits, listen to my orders, Legion commander. Attack these invaders. When you encounter enemies, don't hold back. You must eliminate them as quickly as possible. We can't let them affect the lives of the subjects in the capital. We can't let them rush past us and hurt the subjects in the capital. Yes. Billions of soldiers roared in unison, their voices shaking the heavens and earth. Then, all the soldiers and god spirits immediately flew out of Galaxy and launched an all-out attack on Uriel's side. The Yellow Talisman Dao soldiers attacked first. The Forbidden Mage chanted an incantation. All kinds of war machines began to accumulate energy. One after another, god spirit-level military formations rose from the army, emitting majestic battle power. Seeing this scene, Uriel's face deepened even more. This guy's total military strength was actually still hidden in the capital city, waiting for them to appear and launch a surprise attack. The Blazing Sun Kingdom soldiers who had just flown away on the spaceship. He thought of something and suddenly rotated his head. He saw 2,000 Galaxy appear silently behind him. Then, trillions of soldiers rushed out of these spaceships and covered the entire heavens in the blink of an eye. Zhou Fight stood in front of the trillions of soldiers. He wore golden true god-tier divine artifacts and held the universe-destroying blade in his hand as he looked at Uriel coldly. Kill. Zhou Fight spoke coldly. Yes. Qi Xintian, Yuan Song, Heros, Yellow Emperor, and the other true god tiers replied. Then, they revealed their true god-tier divine artifacts and led in troops of more than 1,500 billion to charge towards Uriel's people of foreign races. Seeing this scene, the true god-tiers, god-spirits, and other generals of the people of foreign races under Uriel's command had ugly expressions. Weren't they on the side of the sneak attack? In the blink of an eye, they had become the side that was ambushed and besieged. Even their escape route was cut off. All troops, listen up. From now on, our army will be divided into two. The front army will deal with the enemies of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, and the rear army will deal with the enemies from the rear. At the same time, we will deal with the enemies who have been incited by incite defection. Even though the enemy came suddenly, our troops still has the advantage. We can definitely win this battle. The true god tier, who was also a titan god like Uriel, shouted. Then, he immediately led half of the allied troops and rushed towards Zhou fight. The god spirits and soldiers of the people of foreign races calmed down when they heard this. He was right. Even though the situation was a little chaotic now, they still had their greatest trump card. They looked at Uriel, who was in the middle of the army. At this moment, Uriel was also looking at the vessel of dark purple divine blood in his hand, his eyes flickering with a deep black light. The Blazing Sun Kingdom. When the soldiers, god spirits, and soldiers rushed towards Uriel's allied army, Zhou Zhou did not follow them. Instead, he looked at the composition of Uriel's army. Uriel's people of foreign race alliance headquarters, the remnants of the alliance gathered by the Shadow clan, and the alliance troops of the Blood Moon clan. Good timing. I originally wanted to get rid of you all one by one after today. I didn't expect you to come knocking on my door one by one. It saved me a lot of effort and time. Zhou Zhou smiled faintly. Then, he looked at the Lord Talent notification in front of him. Prompt. You have activated your mythical tier, unique Lord Talent, 10,000 Spirit Saint. All spirits see you as a supreme saint and long to follow you. Lord Talent notification 1. 356,015,051,856 Black Iron Tier soldiers of foreign races, 235,673,607,712 Green Bronze Tier soldiers of foreign races, 252,775,967,888 White Silver Tier soldiers of foreign races, 180,065,005,693 Yellow Gold Tier soldiers of foreign races, 111,012,801,860 White Platinum Tier soldiers of foreign races, 56,812,089,668 Diamond Tier soldiers of foreign races, 26,889,771,632 Extraordinary Tier soldiers of foreign races, 12,539,601,350 Epic Tier soldiers of foreign races, 3,216,025,230 Legendary Tier soldiers of foreign races, 5,652 Low-Tier Deity level soldiers of foreign races, 3,919 Mid-Tier Deity level soldiers of foreign races, 1,011 High-Tier Deity level soldiers of foreign races. 101 true God-tier soldiers of foreign races broke away from their faction and became your loyal followers. Lord Talent notification 2. You have obtained a spellcaster. DeCarlos, true God-tier advanced grade. When Zhou Zhou saw this result, he could not help but be pleasantly surprised. Good God. As expected, the 10,000 Spirit Saint did not disappoint him. He directly incited him to incite defection to 1,234,992,889 soldiers, 10,582 ordinary god spirits, and 101 true god tiers. Regardless of whether it was ordinary soldiers, ordinary god spirits, or true god tier existences, all of them had given their territorial powers an extremely astonishing increase. Thank you to the Titan, Uriel, for the big gift bags. Zhou Zhou was sincerely grateful. At the same time, just as Uriel's people of foreign races and the army of the Blazing Sun Kingdom were fighting. The Homeland Defense Army in the capital quickly set up a defensive line. Then, they looked at the two sides fighting in the sky with serious and yearning eyes. As the garrison of the capital city, they had long received orders. In today's war, unless the main army showed signs of defeat, they could only go to the battlefield to participate. If there were no signs of defeat, they could only guard their own encampment and guard their sentries while maintaining the order of the territory's subjects. The other party's army looked like they were in chaos after His Majesty waved his hand. The soldiers of the Homeland Defense Legion knew that they would not have the chance to participate in this battle. They felt that it was a pity, but they were also proud of their powerful lord and powerful main combat army. In the capital, when the enemy attacked, the subjects were only a little flustered at the beginning, but they quickly became orderly under the protection of the soldiers and officials. At the same time, they followed the arrangements of the officials and entered Zhou Zhou's divine kingdom world one by one. Zhou Zhou's divine kingdom world was within the supreme domain of the supreme will. It could be said that no other place was safer than Zhou Zhou's divine kingdom world. In less than a moment, the enormous Blazing Sun Kingdom had become an empty city. At the same time, just as the two armies were fighting, many other people of foreign races and lords were also silently observing this unprecedented battle. They really wanted to see which of the titans represented by Uriel or the Blazing Sun Kingdom represented by Zhou Zhou would win after this war that was comparable to a divine kingdom. It would have a profound impact on the future no matter who won. Especially for the new lords and veteran races, it was a huge event that was equivalent to the collision of the old and new eras. Among the people of foreign races who were secretly observing, the Heaven-Hidden race, Rakshasa race, and In-Ghost clan were most concerned about the outcome of this battle. This was because they were the 3 of the 5 people of foreign races who had stopped the humans from retreating to the primordial world. As for the Shadow clan, they had already been destroyed, and the Blood Moon clan was participating in the battle. As for the reason why they cared, it was because the moment Zhou Zhou's faction appeared, they realized that none of the 3 races could defeat Zhou Zhou and the Lord's faction under him in a direct confrontation. If the 3 races joined forces, the strength of their forces would actually be about the same as Uriel's people of Foreign Race Alliance, which was fighting Zhou Zhou. Which meant one could almost see the outcome of the battle between them and the common people's regal in the future with this current battle between Uriel and Zhou Zhou. It would be best if Uriel won this battle. This meant that they didn't have to face a great enemy like the common people's regal since he would have already been eliminated by Uriel. At most, they would send some resources to the Titan gods to express their gratitude. If Uriel did not win and was destroyed by Zhou Zhou instead, the outcome would be terrible for them. This meant that they couldn't defeat this common people's regal either. At that time, they would only have 2 choices. The first choice was to persevere in the battle until they were wiped out by Zhou Zhou along with their race. The second choice was to surrender to Zhou Zhou. There was no third option. They could not even escape as an entire race, unless they gave up on their race and fled. However, this choice was almost equivalent to extermination. Sometimes, it was even worse than extermination. Just look at those refugees who had no fixed residence or foundation. It was the current situation of refugees who were hated by everyone. Occasionally, they would have to face the pursuit of powerful races. It could be said that they were living lives worse than death. Lord Uriel must win. As long as Lord Uriel wins, the In-Ghost clan will be willing to accept it even if we have to become their vassals. The leaders of the In-Ghost clan looked at the projection of the illusory battlefield in front of them and prayed silently. The In-Ghost clan was the weakest amongst the 3 races. Furthermore, they also knew that among the true god tier of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, there were several true god-level experts who controlled the In-Ghost clan. For example, the Blazing Sun god, Heros, had the ability to transform into the sun. Therefore, the last thing they wanted was for Uriel to lose. In addition to the In-Ghost clan, the humans of the Cerulean planet and the primordial world were also watching the battle nervously through a live broadcast. Whether the Lord of the Blazing Sun could win today's battle almost determined their future fates. On the battlefield, Uriel looked at the dark purple divine blood bottle in his hand, and then at Zhou Zhou. Do you dare to fight me? If you don't dare to fight me, these true god tears of yours will suffer, he said in a deep voice. There's no need to threaten me. I promise you, Zhou Zhou said calmly. Okay. Uriel looked at him deeply. He believed that with this regal's intelligence, he wouldn't be able to guess that he had a master god tier level trump card. But even so, he still dared to accept his challenge. Could it be that he also had means at the master god tier level? Yes, indeed, there should be. Otherwise, he would not have been able to destroy the Shadow Clan. This thought flashed through his mind before he shook his head inwardly. It didn't matter. No matter what kind of master god tier trump card the other party had, he might be beaten to death by me. That was because he had an invincible master god tier trump card. He glanced at Zhou Zhou before teleporting away. When Zhou Zhou saw this, his figure instantly disappeared into thin air. The Supreme Great Cosmos. In a dead star field in the starry sky. This place was very empty and dark. There was not even a star. There were only a large number of lifeless planets spinning in a chaotic trajectory, enveloped in a dark light. The only visible light source was the sun star, which was billions of trillions of light years away. At this moment, two figures instantly appeared here. It was Zhou Zhou and Uriel. This place is about 60 million light years away from the high continent. As long as we don't teleport, the aftershock of our battle shouldn't reach the high continent, and we won't be punished by the high continent, Uriel stated calmly. Zhou Zhou's expression was calm. He understood that the other party was speaking from the perspective of a master god tier. This was because master god tier existences were existences that would create and destroy the boundless universe. And how big was a boundless universe? Normally speaking, the small world where Cerulean planet / Earth was located was about 100 billion light years in diameter. The largest world in the middle world was about 1 trillion light years in diameter. The largest world radius in the boundless universe was very exaggerated, about 1,000 trillion light years. This was because the middle world and small world did not have complete laws to support the world. On the other hand, the boundless universe had complete laws supporting it. The quantitative change had reached a qualitative change, which was why the boundless universe was exceptionally large. The biological potential and upper limit of the creatures it nurtured were also exceptionally high. If Zhou Zhou and Uriel were to unleash the power of the Master God tier level next, the distance of 60 million light years might not be considered far. I advise you to go all out next, because I'll go all out and not give you any chance, Uriel stated faintly. Then, he uncorked the dark purple blood bottle in his hand without hesitation. In an instant, an extremely terrifying divine power fluctuated from the blood bottle and enveloped Zhou Zhou in the blink of an eye. Then, it swiftly enveloped an area of 10 million light years. Zhou Zhou narrowed his eyes slightly as he looked at the blood bottle in his hand. The blood of a master god tier. Judging from its aura, it should be the blood of a master god tier existence of the Titans. The quality should be low-level master god tier elementary grade, he thought to himself. At this moment, Uriel raised his head and drank all the divine blood in the bottle without hesitation.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.